It's week 3 for Texas high school football, and we're here to break down everything you need to know about tonight's action. Plus, there are several events this weekend in and around San Angelo. I'm Yantis Green, and this is Live. We'll get to all the news in a second, but first, the Taste of San Angelo 2022 will be held at the First Community Federal Credit Union Spur Arena this coming Tuesday night, September 13th, starting at 6:30 p.m. Over 40 San Angelo restaurants will be serving up the best of their menu fare, including beverages. Tickets are $30 for adults and $10 for children under 12 for all you can eat. They are available at Fuentes Cafe downtown and a couple of other restaurants. And at the door, we'll see you Tuesday at the Taste of San Angelo. Also, before we get into local news, a viral video has surfaced of a brutal fight between a student and a teacher inside an Ector County middle school in Odessa. The video we're about to show you may be too intense for some viewers. Let's watch. Now, that disturbing attack took place after a teacher at Bowie Middle School in Odessa confiscated a phone from that student. Police have arrested the teenage student and have charged him with aggravated assault against a public servant, which is a second-degree felony in the state of Texas, which means that student could face jail time of up to 20 years. Ector County ISD did issue a statement saying that punishment will be assessed, but they are also considering mental health problems as well in that case. Also, a group of San Angeloans gathered Friday morning at the 9/11 Memorial near the River Stage downtown to mark the 21st anniversary of the terrorist attacks of 9/11-2001. The event included comments from local officials, special music, and the presentation of the colors. Each flag planted in the ground around the memorial represented an individual who lost their life 21 years ago in those terrorist attacks. For more on those stories and the rest of the news, be sure to check out sanangelolive.com. Now, that isn't the only event commemorating 9/11 going on this weekend. On Sunday, there'll be a stair climb, a very challenging stair climb at San Angelo Stadium to honor the fallen firefighters. That gets underway Sunday morning at 7:15 a.m. It is free to the public. Other events not related to Patriots Day will be the Cowboy Gathering out at the fairgrounds, Lily Fest down at the Lily Pond Park, and a car show at Mitchell Buick. The food truck festival at the Farmers Market Saturday, and of course the Miles Cotton Festival out in Miles on Saturday. And if you're going to spend some time outdoors, don't worry, the weather is going to be wonderful this weekend. Over the weekend, it'll be mostly sunny with temperatures in the mid to lower 90s. A cold front, though, on Sunday will cool things down a bit with an afternoon high of 87 degrees. Moving on into next week, expect more of the same, highs in the mid-90s and lows in the lower 60s with no rain in sight. And speaking of next week, the Taste of San Angelo is Tuesday. Here's a special preview from Live's own Matt Trammell.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Matt Trammell here with another little episode of Trammell Leads here. Today we're at the Angry Cactus getting ready for the 2022 Taste of San Angelo. Guys, this is going to be one that you ain't going to want to miss because not only is the Angry Cactus going to be there, but over 40 restaurants is also going to be in attendance too. So today we are going to just try some things that maybe you get to try when you're there. You know, there's a bunch of different things that we could have got here. We can go with the fish or the chicken, but we chose two things that will jump out. This may be a steak place, but one thing that they hit on is the meatloaf. This meatloaf has the perfect, just like your mother's, sweet tomato sauce over the top of it, with, of course, their potatoes, carrots, zucchini. We got a little bit of these right here. Oh, man, can't go wrong with that. On the other side, we have just the classic, Tim Cronin also on his low-star cheeseburger, but at the Angry Cactus, they do their burgers just a little bit more gourmet. So this right here is the cheddar burger bed, and it's got a little bit of fries, all the dressings, everything you might want. I just say let's get into it. The first thing we're gonna go with is, of course, the burger. We're gonna go simple first. This burger is look at that, the ground meat, the American cheese on there. Perfect. Look at that burger. You can taste how real, authentic that one is right there. And you can't eat it without just a little bite of pickle. On to the next one. Now we're gonna knock it out. It's the meatloaf. Like I said earlier, this sauce that's on top of it is just pure goodness, sweetness. And let's just cut into it. You'll see that's a nice cut of meat right there. Dip it in some of the taters right there. Oh, buddy. This is Angry Cactus. This is one of San Angelo's most popular restaurants, and it's going to be at the Taste of San Angelo this Tuesday. Go ahead and buy your tickets. They're only $30. It's going to be at the Spur Arena. It's an event you aren't going to want to miss. You can get tickets at Western Sky, or you can get tickets at Fuentes, or just go to San Angelo Live and you can get them there too. If you can't make it to the Taste of San Angelo, don't worry. Angry Cactus is right here in downtown San Angelo at Concho and Chadburn, so go check it out. You can try this amazing meatloaf or this burger. I promise you won't going to miss it. But one more time, the Taste of San Angelo is Tuesday, and it is at 6:30 at the Spur Arena. Thanks for watching. It's another episode of Trammell Eats.
I've always known that I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to help students maximize their potential. It's something that I'm good at. But planning for my financial freedom, that's something I leave for a professional. That's why I chose to team up with the advisors at Tiemann Investments. They not only understand me and my goals, but they understand the market, what's important now and in the future. They provided world-class advice right where I am, here in West Texas. Connect with Tiemann Investments to visualize your financial dreams.
All right, it is that time again. It is Friday night. It is about 4:30, so teams, just like us, are getting ready to go to battle. James, how are you feeling this week? You're feeling confident. You just came off a 5-0 pick week, but can you do it again? That's the real question.
I am going to do it again, Matt. I'm feeling good. Week 3 is here. It's hard to believe it's week 3 already.
I know. We only have 7 more weeks for some teams, so this thing is rocking and rolling, and we're starting to see who is what and what are who, I guess.
I guess so. We're getting into maybe some running teams in San Angelo, maybe some 3-0 teams in San Angelo.
Yeah, definitely so, and around the Concho Valley. But also one thing we're kind of getting to as the schedules keep rolling, we get into everyone's favorite, and that's homecoming. James, we have a homecoming game this week. Let's introduce it.
All right, let's do it.
So, COVER1's first game to watch is going to be the Lakeview Chiefs versus the Vernon Lions. Chiefs, they've started 2-0, but can they get to that 3-0 spot? We are going to find out. James, what are you thinking when you're writing up your predictions for this game? You're finding out stuff. What are some of the stuff that you found out about Lakeview this week?
I think Lakeview's going 3-0. Yeah, they've got a good rushing attack there. Pass attack kind of been a little on, little off, but their rushing attack is, they've got almost 400 yards between two guys, or over 400 yards between two guys. They're running the ball really well. Keep doing it. Keep working on your blocking, and you're going to go 0-3.
One note I do see that you have in here is that so far the Lakeview defense has come up with 7 interceptions, and Michael Duran on his own has gotten 4 of those. I mean, we're only 2 weeks in, and we're talking 4 interceptions on the season. That's quite a significant thing. So
very impressive.
We're going to find out what these Vernon Lions are going to do. If they're going to run it, they're going to try to pass it. We're going to figure it out. But it looks like we have a stronger Chief team than we normally do.
Yeah, Vernon's 0-2. Vernon's they're 2-0, but I couldn't find any stats on them for this game. But their teams they've played seem to be kind of up and coming teams.
Yep.
And Lakeview they beat Sweetwater last week, and I think Sweetwater was a good test for them. And I'm ready to see how much they can. I'm ready for an 0-3 Lakeview team.
All right, well, let's go ahead and bring up the picks since you said it, James. You picked them.
Yep.
You got them going 0-3. I am a little bit skeptical on that because of the fact that Lakeview always tends to have that little letdown moment right when they're super high. So I'm going to go ahead and rock with Vernon. It was a split call here. It looks like you and Yantis and Ernesto picked Lakeview. But guys, if y'all want to know who's winning the picks, it's Yantis, James, and Ernesto. So maybe it's not a bad idea to rock with those guys. But on the other side, we got me and Joe and Jake, Isaiah and Chadwick. We think that the Lions just might be a little too much for the Chiefs this week.
Yeah, I like Lakeview. I think their running game's going to be fine. I think they're going to run Vernon out of the stadium. Ricky Ramirez has 282 yards on the season, 4 touchdowns. Ian Cortez has 191 yards and a couple touchdowns. They're going to be fine on the ground, and just hand it to your backs and go.
Like I said, though, Lakeview always has that, I don't know, maybe it's just a stigma, but it seems like this is, all things are said.
It could be a trap game.
So I'm feeling kind of a trap game here, like you said. I'm feeling that, Lakeview's riding high. They're 2-0. Dude, it's homecoming. There's just too much pressure right here on the Chiefs. I'm feeling a letdown in this one, but hey, I could be wrong. Either way, y'all are going to find out because at our later shows, at our 8 o'clock and our 10 o'clock shows, we'll have highlights coming straight from Lakeview Stadium. Sorry, guys. San Angelo Stadium. Straight from there, getting it right on here, so y'all come and check it out. This is all brought to you by the Autoplex. We don't want to forget to shout those guys out. We also want to let y'all know that the picks and the games of the week to watch are brought to you by Beeman Investments. So make sure you go hit those guys up. James, what game are we moving on to?
We are moving on to El Dorado and Sonora. These are two teams. They don't have stats in back, but El Dorado has a good defensive line. They lost last week to Winners in overtime, and now they're going 20 miles south to I-10 to play Sonora. And Sonora has an electric playmaker, Hunter O'Bannon, and their quarterback, I believe it's Jamie Butron. They have like 300 yards either combined or a piece already on the season. They're playing well.
This is one of the most historic rivalries around the Contra Valley. This is the Battle of 277 here. These two teams are going to want to smack each other in the face. I already know.
Yeah, a couple years ago, there was actually a fight between these two teams. I was at that game. It was a double overtime game. Really good game.
Yeah,
they don't like each other.
No love loss. Yeah,
they don't like each other
between those two. Earlier in the year we saw El Dorado Cristobal, and we're talking about the rivalry there. But when I talked to some people from El Dorado, they let me know really quickly that they're ready to get Sonora, and they really don't like those guys.
But Sonora's coming to play though. On offense they got O'Bannon and Butron. On defense they got Edgar DeLuna. He had like 190 tackles last season. This year, his coach said he's kind of an unsung hero. Blake Weston, their coach, also said that El Dorado graduated some skill players, but they still have a good defensive line. That and then turnovers. They had 6 turnovers last week. Sonora did. They're going to try to fix that. If they fix that, they probably win that game last week. They only lost by 4 points.
All right, well, let's go ahead and look at our picks. Here they come.
Come at me, El Dorado.
All right, here we go. No surprise there. I'm rocking with the El Dorado Eagles, James. I do it every single week. These guys, they I gotta show support for the love out there for El Dorado. But you, on the other hand, you are always our Eagle hater, it seems, because you like to stick with not the green but the red with the Sonora Broncos. James, what's going through your mind when you make this pick?
I think that their offense is going to be a lot to overcome. That I think they're going to take advantage of that defense. Just the defensive line. First off, El Dorado is a stacked defensive line. I don't want anybody messing that up. They have a great defensive line.
Yep.
I think Sonora's going to take advantage of the secondary there. And O'Bannon also plays defense. He's had a couple of good games too. So they got a couple linebackers roaming around back there that are going to be good.
Perfect. Well, it was you, Ernesto, and Isaiah. They all picked Sonora. Me, Yantis, Joe, and Chadwick and Jake, we chose El Dorado. So we will only time will tell on who's going to win that one. But either way, that one's going to be a really good game, and we are definitely looking forward to that one. James, you know, this season so far for the El Dorado Eagles has been kind of already up and down. You know, 1-1, lost 1. Then you're going to go in here. So I think this is going to be a real true test for how good this El Dorado Eagle football team is going to be this year. You know, they beat Cristobal. It was 7-0. They go, and then it's kind of a sketchy game against winners that goes into some overtime. You show your toughness.
That's rain delayed too.
Yeah. But you know, this right here, it's sunny outside. It's going to be a beautiful day for football. This is going to be the true test. If El Dorado cannot pull this one out, I feel like we may be in some trouble.
But El Dorado's going to be fine. You know, they got a younger team, a new head coach, but Chad Tuttle's their only new face on that coaching staff. He kept everybody else when John Long left. But they're going to be okay regardless. You know, they're a good team. They're building around Covarrubias, Jason Covarrubias.
There you go, the
other Covarrubias brother,
there you
right?
go.
And they're going to be okay either way. They're going to find their skill guys, and they're going to be fine.
All right, moving on to the next game. We always got to have somebody out. We have our person in the Permian Basin, Isaiah Garza, always hooking it up. So we're actually going to have some highlights from the Midland High game tonight. From last night, we'll show those to you guys at halftime, just kind of tease it a little bit. But one of the other games that we're going to have that is going to be going on tonight, that is the Midland Legacy Rebels versus the Abilene High Eagles, the Warbirds versus the Rebels. It is a classic matchup. James, last year, dude, it was a heck of a game. And Abilene High put it to the Rebels, who were way highly ranked than them, and everyone expected it to be a blowout. And I'm telling you, this Abilene High team, it made it a game last year. Do you think there's a chance that maybe this year that we could have a shootout there in Grande?
I don't know about a shootout. It kind of seems like Abilene's still trying to figure out who they are. And Midland Legacy knows who they are.
Yeah, but they had a tough week last week. They went and played Amarillo Tascosa, and they got dogged pretty good.
Yeah, they did. But Tascosa's a really good team.
Right, absolutely. That's one of those teams out in West Texas that could possibly make a big run later. But this is going to be the chance to see. Also, we talked about it with the Eagles, but it's kind of the same thing with the Rebels. This is going to be one of those true tests that's like, yeah, you're going to play somebody who's smaller than you, but they were just as good in that little Southwest Conference as anybody else was last year. And so this is going to be a true test to see maybe not exactly how the Rebels will do maybe later off in the playoffs and things like that, but when it comes to the little Southwest Conference and that district play, I think this is going to be a really good test for them.
Yeah, and I think Midland needs to rebound. I think Abilene's a good team to rebound off of. Marcus DeVila, their quarterback's got 444 yards and 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. They got Zeke DeLuna, feed Zeke. He's got 292 rushing yards for 2 touchdowns.
Sounded like a true cowboy right there.
Deontay Saunier and Breck Stevens, they combined for 260 yards, 3 touchdowns. These guys are just on fire right now. And they have a sophomore. I think it's defensive lineman. Breck, what's his name? There it is. Braylon Zeno. He's a sophomore. He's got 13 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and a sack on the season so far. So they've got playmakers all over the field, and they're going to play hard. Abilene, they don't have much rushing yards. They only have like 83. Antoine Rashawn has 32 carries, 83 yards, a touchdown. I just kind of feel like they're trying to figure out who they are right now.
Well, I think everyone else is kind of on the same page as you as we bring up our picks here, brought to you by Thiemann Investments. If you want to make some money, let them do the picks for you. All right, here we go. Midland Legacy, Abilene High, across the board from the Cover1 analysts. James, we were on the same page about this one all the way. Midland Legacy, heavy favorites in this one.
Yeah, Midland's gonna be they're gonna be good. They were good last year. They're gonna be good this year. And that quarterback is a hell of a good player, and they're ready to go. Yeah,
and I mean it could be a bounce back definitely for them because they had that big loss last week. So I think they're going to be really hungry to come out here and I guess get a Warbird.
And I mentioned a couple players there, but they still have Colin Brazel, Aiden Serrano. Those are young guys who are going to make an impact in the game. They're just stacked across the board. Midland Legacy is.
All right, moving on to our next game here. That's 3 down, guys. Remember, we're going to have more games than that, and you aren't going to get that anywhere else. We're going to have them to you. We're going to give you all the highlights and analysis and stats and everything that you need at our 8 o'clock show and at our 10 o'clock show. And those are tentative. It's kind of a halftime and a post-game show. This is brought to you by the Autoplex. This is brought to you by All-American Chevrolet. If you need to buy a car or truck, make sure you go down to All-American Chevrolet. Or, you know what, you can give them a call at 325-203-5435. There's a lot of trucks on the lot. I promise you guys, things are kind of moving back in a positive direction when it comes to cars and things being on the lot. So go ahead and go down there to All-American to see what they got. They also can make you some really good deals on trade-in values. All right, moving on to our next game. We have, it's going to be a really good one. Before we get started, at halftime of this game, they're going to be doing a really big ceremony to honor and to name the Wallhawk football field after the late great New England Patriot, Angelo State Ram Clayton Weissoon. So it's a lot of emotions already high in this game. But let's go ahead and get it going. It's the Wallhawks versus the Jim Ned Indians. It's going to be a battle on the ground. We're talking about this game might be over by 9 o'clock because these guys are going to run right at each other's throats all night long. James, I know you talked to Coach Guy earlier this week, and you talked to the head coach of Jim Ned. What did they tell you, and what did you come up with in your conclusion?
Well, Jim Ned, they're kind of beat up by injuries, right? They're 0-2. They're a sneaky 0-2 team, though. They've lost to Hawley and Holiday. Holiday went to state last year. Holiday went 4 rounds deep and lost to Gunter, who eventually went to state last year. And injuries just kind of decimated that team at this point. They're still trying. They're still a good team. Don't get me wrong, but they're just injured. Wall, they're not looking past these guys. They're going to come out. One of the coaches at Wall told me, all them Jim Ned kids will come back for this game because this game means something too. It's Wall and Jim Ned. It means something to these kids.
Yeah, not only were these two teams in the same district for the last couple years, but they were battling it out to see who was going to win that district. And man, there were some good matchups. And of course, these last, it seems, Xavier Wisher really, turned it on for the Jim Ned Indians, took them to state and really ran it. But if you're talking about overall, the matchup between the two, it's pretty even, and they both are pretty similar on how they like to do things, and that's hard-nosed, smouth mash football.
Well, it wasn't just the Xavier Wishart show last year. He had like 239 carries, and he had 2,500 yards later on.
Yeah, they're like for 10 yards a carry.
When you have that kid, you're going to hand him the ball a lot. Yeah. But it wasn't just the Xavier Wishart show. They had a pretty balanced offense. They have a pretty balanced offense this year. They're just injured. They got to get guys back, get ready for district. Both coaches have a ton of respect for each other. I have a ton of respect for both. I talked to both of them. They're both great people, and they want to win this one.
All right, well, let's go ahead and bring in our picks. It looks like we're very lopsided. A lot of Concho Valley guys around here picking Concho Valley teams. Not me and not Chadwick, as we are rocking with the Jim Ned Indians. The Indians are 0-2, but like you said, James, that's a weird 0-2 team because they lost to really big teams.
They lost a lot of skill last year.
Yeah, and I think this is not really even a test for them. I think this is one to kind of get them bounced back to see where they really are. I think Jim Ned is a good football program who might have the chance to just run away with this one and run away fast and in a hurry. What do you think?
I think Jim Ned's a great program too. Matt Fanning's been there 6 years. He was there as an OC 1 year, and then now this is his 5th year as head coach. He's built a tremendous program. I think Wall, though, they're healthier. They need to get guys back as well, but they're also, they've got 3 guys that have over 500 yards combined for rushing. They're just beating them up on the ground. They need to keep doing that. They want to stay successful. Why would you ever try to pass it? We heard they might go to the spread this year.
Yeah, that never happened. I think the highlights we had last week was the throws was the big interception.
Well, Coach Guy told me at practice that he didn't think the weather affected the game, but the quarterbacks might have said they affected the game.
Also, James, I'll go ahead and note this. Look, I keep my ear to the ground. I make sure I know what everyone's saying out there about every single situation. And right now in Wall, not a lot of people know, but there may be a little drama in-house. looks like, some players replacing other players and some kids getting starts and stuff. And it looks like a little movement around on their depth chart. Could cause a little bit of a stir when you're talking about those players on Friday night.
Coach Guy's been out there for 15 years now, and you don't do that at a small school. If 4 years you start upsetting people and you're out at a small school. He's been there 15 years. He's doing the right thing. The best player's gonna play. I'm not buying into the whole off the field nonsense. What are they doing on the field?
But at the end of the day, if players' headspaces are weird, and then you got this halftime show, that's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure.
There's a lot going on, but I think Coach Guy has his guys prepared.
And I'm gonna rock the opposite way. I'm gonna go ahead and say that the Jim Ned Indians are gonna roll by 20.
Either way, this is going to be a great game. Hey, last week I predicted it'd be a touchdown game. If you can roll the clip. Do we have the clip? No, probably not. But this is going to be a close game. I think this is going to be a touchdown game as well. But I'm going to give it to Wall this week.
All right, perfect. So moving on to our last game, but before we do, remember Angelo Bolt, Industrial Supply. Go check them out if you need any kind of fasteners, nuts, bolts, any kind of that. Also, All-American Chevrolet in the Autoplex. If you have a car that you want to trade in, or even if you don't want to trade it in, go down there. They'll probably give you an offer that you can't refuse. Another sponsor on the show is Thiemann Investments. They're actually the sponsor of the picks and the games to watch. So really, they're bringing what we're doing right now to you guys. Go see them, Thiemann Investments. Another sponsor of the show is Edward Jones, another financial guy who will make sure that you make the right picks as well. Moving on to our last game of our preview show. It is the one that everyone's been talking about. It is the Central Bobcats versus Abilene Cooper. James, Central off a big win against El Paso. Abilene Cooper 0-2, maybe hungry to get a win. What do you think is going down over there in Abilene tonight?
I think it's going to be a sad night for Abilene teams.
Sad night for Abilene teams.
I think it's going to be a sad night for Abilene teams.
All right, you heard it there first, folks. It looks like James's pick's already in.
Yep, it is. Central has a good rushing attack. We figured that out last week. They had over 3 yards on the ground last week. And they had 5 touchdowns on the ground. Abilene, their quarterback has good numbers. He has 434 yards, but it hasn't translated into points. He only got 1 touchdown for 4 interceptions. And I just don't know, man. I'm going not Abilene. I'm going Bobcats in this one.
Well, James, I don't know. Like I said, Abilene Cooper is hungry, and to me, this Bobcat football team has turned into this Texas Tech-esque. I just want to see if we can score more points. Our defenses can just sit in the locker room all night. I mean, this is and it's a recipe for disaster because of one thing. They lost the first week because they got in a dogfight and tried to beat them late. Things didn't work out for whatever reason. But hey, it's those little things right there for whatever reasons you lose ball games. Week after, you play an El Paso team. You should roll this team. Instead, you get in another dogfight, and you gotta keep throwing. You gotta score 100 points to get the win. I think this is not a sustainable way to win football games, and I think it's gonna really be shown tonight against Abilene Cooper.
That Central defense had flashes though in that first week, and even last. They did give up a lot of points to Montwood last week.
We're talking about points though.
It wasn't just it was points.
Yeah.
But Luke Gold has 2 interceptions. They got 3 players. They got a sack. They're playing decent defense. As far as Abilene Cooper's playmakers, they can keep them in check. You've got Avante Ralston, who is more of a receiver. He's got 173 yards, a touchdown. Cam Herron's got 172 yards, but on the ground they've only got 101 rushing yards. So they're very much having to and they're 0-2. So they've probably had a bunch of garbage time just throw it.
Yeah.
These past couple weeks.
Well, let's go ahead and bring up our picks. Once again, we are on opposite sides of this thing. But for the Bobcats, it looks like it was you, Ernesto, Chadwick, Yantis, and Jake. For me and my side, me, Joe, and Isaiah went ahead and stuck with the Abilene Cooper Wildcats. I guess that's true. I guess that's
I
true.
think so.
No, but
Sorry,
I'm
I
going to
didn't
go ahead
look
and
at
rock with Abilene Cooper. I mean, this is, like I said, going to be a high-scoring game regardless. I mean, if there was an over-under on this game, it'd have to be like in the high 60s because I expect both of these teams to light it up. I think it's going to be a very fun game, and I think that you can see it all here on SanAngeloLive.com. James, what are your thoughts when you made this pick?
I think Central's been running the ball very well. They've been using Tyler Hill appropriately. Jacob English still has 151 yards on the season, couple touchdowns. So Hill's throwing it and running it. It's hard to account for that running quarterback sometimes. And I just think that San Angelo's going to run away with it this week. I think they're going to put this high scoring stuff behind them. They're going to play sound football on defense. Because last week they had a couple receivers. Who did they play last week? Montwood had a couple receivers that had decent numbers.
Yeah, definitely.
And I didn't look at their numbers, but Central won.
Like I said though, it was just it's almost like this, James. If Central has the ball last, they're probably going to win. But if they don't have the ball last, they're probably going to lose.
No, you're probably right, but I'm gonna give it. I'm looking up their stats right now. Game stats. Let's look for. Okay, so last week they threw for 389 passing yards, had 4 touchdowns and 1 interception. That's not good. You got to contain those guys.
Yep.
That's what you had to work on. This contain these 2 receivers, Ralston Hare, and they're playmakers. They might have 1 touchdown between the 2 of them, but they've got 245 yards between them. You've got to contain those guys.
Of course, because you know what? If you can get them down there close, I mean, that's what we saw last week. Montwood was getting them down there and just putting it in. So that's one thing to look out for the Central game is if they are going to be ready to play some defense tonight. We will see. That's been the main talk of people around town, so that is one thing we will see. James, are there any other games that you would like to talk about or look at before maybe we say goodbye?
I think Coleman's playing Brady tonight. That's going to be a good matchup. Mason's playing Gozona tonight. That's going to be a good matchup. Other than that, I can't think of anybody else other than that.
All right, Crystal.
Oh, sorry. Of course.
Yeah, I'm saying, who's your alma mater play?
Crystal, they're playing Colorado City. Talked to Coach Otho earlier in this week. They had to work on tackling. That's what he said, tackling. Tackling wasn't good against Grape Creek, so they're going to work on their tackling. Colorado City does a lot of different things offensively. He didn't really know how. Well, he didn't indulge me on how they were going to attack. But one thing I know is that Kyle Lohman, their quarterback, is going to be out this week. Kyle Abelez is going to take over at quarterback. Their backup came in last week.
Okay.
I think they were waiting on MRI results for Lohman. I'm not really sure.
Yeah,
I think they said maybe 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'm saying I don't think we have a full update on that.
Yeah. I don't want to get into that.
Yeah. But all right, so there's a few games other than the ones that we talked about. You can check all those out. Don't worry, our scores page is going to be up here shortly, and we will have scores from across the area of the core 27 teams. Remember, this is brought to you by All-American Chevrolet. This is brought to you by the Autoplex, Angelo Bolt, Thiemann Investments, Edward Jones, and hey, maybe a little later tonight we'll even talk about double dates when we get that pizza roll. All right. This has been another episode of the Cover1. This has been the pregame show. We will see you guys at about